Okay. Yeah. So I will start with the session now. Okay. First of all, thank you so much for joining, you guys. And I'm really happy to start this initiative. I think why I started this, like, I'll just go with the, what are the points which are there, and I'll talk according to that. And I think that will be a template for other people to talk. Okay. So, first thing, like, how do I identify myself? I think that is something which we all are working upon, right? Like, it's a constant process, and I think I identify myself as an artist more, and as a lighting artist. Somehow, like, I like lighting, and I want to create some beautiful imagery. That is what I want to do, and yeah, I want to uh, really create some stunning images, and that's why I started learning lighting, and I'm constantly learning. And in this process, I thought of this was in back of my mind for quite a long time. So that and this is the first day I'm doing it now. Like, maybe almost like 10 years, I was thinking, I'm learning so much, but then what is the point of keeping this knowledge to myself? So that is why I thought of start to teach people, because there are so many concepts which is not been covered. I have gone through like almost like 90% of tutorials which are available, and like there are different concepts, and there are a lot of things which are in book and all, and that is why I thought of being a part of this program. Okay, I just jumped in, and yeah, my passion, yeah, my passion is to work into uh, lighting. I'm also doing cinematography nowadays and working on my short films, or like other people who are doing short films. I'm doing cinematography onto that. And I think later down the line, when I'm going to just leave this field, I'll be doing more of cinematography. And that is what I think of doing. Is it enough of introduction, or do you want to know more about it? Yeah. Okay, fine. Then I think you people can quickly go over on the same points. Yeah. Start, Arjun.
Okay, I'll start.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Arjun. So I think I just got into this industry because first when I watched I don't know if you guys know that movie Tarzan the Wonder Car. It's an old
Yeah.
Hindi movie.
Yes. I just
So
saw
when
it that
Ajay
day.
Devgan was
Okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
so when Ajay Devgan was doing all those creating cars and the 3D models and it caught my eyes like
Oh,
that is nice.
nice. Someone from like you are inspired from an Indian movie. I was inspired from Jurassic Park. Okay, go on.
That was just the start. That was just the start, though. So I thought it was interesting how he creates models. So although that was completely
Oh,
fake, I
okay.
mean he's double clicking and
Mhm.
the tire pops up, but still that was interesting. So
Okay.
that's when I first started. Then I went on trying to find out what software it is. I think this was back in 2007 or 8, when I was in 8th
Mhm.
standard.
Oh,
So
it's
then
standard.
back,
That's
uh
better.
yeah, quite early. I found out the software, but I had no idea what I'm doing. Then later, I think I was doing IPCC in Chartered Accountancy. That's
Mm-hmm.
when there was GTech Animation Institute beside the institute I was attending. So
Mm-hmm.
I think morning I used to go for the Chartered Accountancy classes, and evening I used to go for deployment animation. So then
Okay.
I switched completely to animation. I went for degree in animation after that. I
Mm-hmm.
chose this path. So basically, I came into this field because then after that I started watching a lot of. I started with anime actually.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started going on to other sections like Disney and other short films and all those things.
Okay.
Then one day I'm here because one day even I wanted to create something as beautiful as these, like become a director or a creative director enough
Okay.
to
Good.
create
Yeah, yeah.
good
You are
movies.
already doing some cinematography in some shots,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. And
So
that's
that's
really
what.
nice.
If I have to identify myself, I would say I'm an artist. I can't specify on any kind of artist because I'm equally into lighting artist, be equally into
Mm.
cinematography, equally as photographer, into digital painting. So I think some of all this would make a good creative director, or like the goal I want to be later.
Yeah,
So I'm
you
putting
have
my
some
legs
big
into
dreams.
everything.
I think you should big dream. You should have a big dreams. Then only you will reach somewhere. That is what it should
Yeah.
like. Thank you, Arjun. Yeah, Pujita, can you start? We cannot hear you.
You're on
Maybe your
mute.
mic is mute. Yeah,
Sorry.
no problem.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
So, hello. So I started off actually quite late, not like Arjun in the eighth grade. So yeah,
Okay.
I started off I think after 12. So
Okay. That's not
at
late. It's
first
okay.
it
Okay.
is late as per Arjun, I think.
Yeah, no problem.
So uh, I actually wasn't sure about animation because I was not really exploring in that field. I really wanted to do something into that because I started watching these animated movies and I was like, oh, I really want to make something like that.
Okay,
And
cool.
then uh, I I went on to like any Indian parent, I think they were all nervous of what I want to do because they weren't aware of what animation was at times. So I studied mass media actually, and then beside that I studied graphics. So I started from graphics and then into motion graphics and then into animation. So
Yeah,
that was
perfect.
my journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like,
So
you had a plan actually. Looks like. Okay, that's very nice.
So then I slowly worked as a generalist, and then I started liking more of lighting and texturing.
Mhm.
And slowly, I think my passion lies towards being a look development artist slowly.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
I think that's the only reason I joined this program because I think lighting will somewhere help me on that level.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah, I worked
that's
as
it.
a look development artist and supervisor in Polygon Pictures. And yeah, it's a part of
Okay,
lighting actually. So you mean like look development
right.
means like shading, right? Not like
Yeah,
concept and all,
yeah,
right? Okay,
right.
yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. Okay, yeah, thank you so much, Pujita. Now, who
Thank
wants to go
you.
on? Yeah, who wants to go now? Like, who want to speak?
Uh,
Nikhil, yeah.
my- yeah. So, hey guys, my name is Nikhil Sarkar. From- started in the industry years back. Uh, as a Latin artist. When
Okay,
like I was
Nikhil, we have some issue with your audio maybe because we are not able to hear you very nicely.
okay. It's happening. Uh, can you hear me now properly again?
Okay, Nikhil, we are not able to get you
Some
anything what
network
you're
issues
speaking.
actually.
Oh
Okay, we
shit.
will see with you, Nikhil, later. Like, Sarang, can you speak?
Oh,
Okay, I'll start.
Yeah.
Okay, I used to see a lot of Hollywood movies during my 10th and 12th.
Mm-hmm.
So I got fascinated by Matrix movies and all the Hollywood movies.
Okay.
So decided to do animation and VFX.
So
So I did.
Tarzan, then Matrix, and Pujita, what about you?
Mine was actually more on the cartoon side, so it was more of like Ice Age and all of that.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay, Ice Age. Okay,
yeah.
fine. Sarang, continue. Sorry to
Okay,
interrupted.
it's okay. So I did a foundation course in Explorer Design School, and after that I wanted to learn Maya. So I went to
Mm-hmm.
Mac and did a course there. And after completing the course, I got a job in Prime Focus. I
Oh,
did
Prime
4 years in conversion in 2D and 3D.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I wanted to learn Nuke because Nuke is got recently industry standard. So I left Prime Focus and wanted to learn Nuke. So joined Framebox and start completed the course. And there after that, joined a company, but sadly the company didn't use Nuke at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back, and after a few months, the pandemic started. So
Okay.
I started to learn different new things, and after I started to learn lightning, I did a course on Udemy of
Mm-hmm.
Avid Schneider on fundamentals of lighting and got interest in that. So I think it was very very interesting one, and thought of doing a career of it.
Yeah, lighting is really interesting, and I think people who get into lighting get amazed with like this is one of the thing is right now with the lighting, you are the one who are going to see the final output, the color.
Mm.
That is what is very interesting about this department. Yeah, so
Yeah,
let's move on to.
and that's one thing.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
Renderman
sorry.
also made me fascinated because I think Lion King and Jungle Book recently, the newer version.
Yeah,
I think they used a Renderman,
yes, yes, they did use renderman.
and it was amazing. The output was amazing, totally amazing.
Yeah, maybe we should get someone from a renderman now to in this session sometime. I think that should be. Uh, Pallavi, can you speak now?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I'm Pallavi. Uh, I love to do painting and sketching. Um, when when I started my career with painting and graphics media from Mac in 2012, 2009, I think. Yeah. Mm. Then I was not aware of animation, and I really don't know about the animation and cartoon and all. I love to do I love to watch the movie and all. So then I started my career on that field. And then I really love it. After that, I started my career with some interior farm and then animation field, animation background. It's like so.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Actually, I know Pallavi quite well because I work with her in Prime Focus, and yeah, I like. I think she's not also doing too well. I can understand from her voice. Let's move on to Biswajit now. Thank you, Pallavi, for the introduction.
Yeah, hi guys, good morning. And Viswajit here. And second thing, like I thanks to this program and Swapnil also to like arrange this amazing thing to introduce like world artist team actually. It's really thank you.
No,
And
it's completely fine.
and actually I started my journey too late actually. So after I complete my graduation, so I like watching some Hollywood movies. Like I'm a big fan of Star Wars. So I
Mhm.
observe the like how to work, like how to do their this amazing thing actually. And they are working like really detailing of work, and it's much yeah, like impressive. So I searching ki how to create this thing, and how to like I join this VFX team actually, and how to do this all things. So I joined some institute as a, like it's called like Mac Academy actually, my
Mhm.
advanced academy. So I like they're like is learning some scratch actually, some like Photoshop and After Effects and all. So I there was a like 2 years I like learned some softwares actually, and I completing my graduation from there. So I joining a 3D studio, 3D animation studio, because I starting like some like animation, because animation lighting and all is like very scratch to learning actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I started there like animation. So I am work there like 1 year. So and after that I moved to like VFX. So I quit there and I joined to Redefine now.
Okay.
So and day by day I learning something new like renderman and redshift also and katana and clear eyes. Now I'm working with like clear eyes. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really amazing experience actually, and really interesting to like and learn also new things actually, and that's why I joined this program actually. Yeah,
Okay,
thank you so
that's
much,
pretty good.
Swapnil,
Yeah,
actually.
thank you so much. Yeah, I think
Thank you.
we will just run out of time if like I think one more person can speak. Anyone who is left, and like for the next session they can introduce who has been left from like the introduction. Makes sense, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, anyone?
Now,
Yeah, can you
so
speak, Nikhil? Yeah,
yeah. So
no, it's fine. Yeah, you can talk.
this is fine. Uh, uh, has told uh, uh, started its interest in this history last 4 years. Um, while I was not a not this writing department or any compositing was happening to move. What is I was of that when I was coming towards this and I was almost starting. So I was well like about cartoons, the cartoons, like cartoons on and everything. So I was more interested into that. So I started into 2D
I'm
animation
sorry,
first.
Nikhil. We can understand some of the things, but like some of the places, I think there's some audio problem at your end. But it's okay.
Okay.
You can like introduce yourself in the next session, and can
Okay.
like
Okay.
who are left now to introduce actually in this one. Can you tell the name like who are left
Hi,
to be? Yeah.
hi. My name is Pranjal.
Okay, Pranjal will introduce you to the next session. Who else is there?
Hi,
Sanjay.
Swapnil. Good morning.
Ankit. Okay,
Ankit.
Ankit. Yeah, and
Yeah.
who else is left after that?
Sanjay.
Sanjay. Okay, and Harsh, I guess, right? Harsh is because he's having some issues with his mic. Anyone else is pending to be introduced? Yeah, I think only 3 4 people were not able to. Like, we'll just run out of time. That is why, like, I just want to start with the uh, thing now. So I'll just have. Okay, so let's start with it. So basically, we have done with the introduction part, and let's move on to art of observation. That is something uh, which will make you a good lighting artist. I think this is something to do with like no your understanding about how light works and everything. That is why like this observation is a must. So for example, if you want to become a singer, like you will listen to a lot of different singers, and then you try to practice it. And it's the same thing for lighting. So whatever you see in like in the real world or you see in the movies, that is what we call it like no observation. And that should be like no you whenever you go out on the road, you should watch this different play of lights which is happening, and it is really amazing. And when you see some of the blooms which is happening in the environment, and or there's like the shadows have some blues which is the reflection of skylight, and there are certain things. I always see these caustics on the buildings which has been reflected from the glasses. I haven't seen any of the movie doing like trying to copy it. I haven't seen it, but then there are a lot of things. Like then there is water reflection. Then you see some dunes in the environment, some fog. I think, yeah, Bala Subramani is joining. Hello, Bala Subramani. Uh, we just started with it, so we continue. So yeah, it was about observation, what you have to do, and it's a practice. So don't forget to watch at things when you have some time. When you're going out, like when you're observing nature, when you're observing light, you have to do that. So now, first thing is like, what is the best device to observe? Okay, this is something which we are going to see first. Can anyone tell like what is the best device like to observe? Anyone?
I think I.
Yeah. Okay. But there are some things we are going to talk about it. Okay. Um, yeah. So we have like these two devices which we try to record. One is the eye, and one is a camera, and we are going to see how eye works and how camera works and what are like pros and cons into that. And we'll try to see through like I what we see as a real human vision is different, and what we capture through a camera is a different. So what we see is real actually, and what we capture through camera is called as photoreal. So we always say that in VFX movies we do photorealistic work because it is photoreal, it is not real. But what we see is real in some way. Not there are a lot of other things which happens that we are not able to see, different wavelengths and all. So that's why like I has some limitation, and so does the camera has some limitation. So let's compare like now eye versus camera and see like. So basically eye has something to deal with f-stops in the human world, and f-stop is like the number, the less the number is more sensitivity, more the opening of the pupil which happens, and that is the same thing which happens in the camera. And when we see like there is an f-stop, sorry, okay, some people are joining now, so I'm just trying to get them to uh, new people. Thanks for joining. I'm just explaining about like the different devices what we have for observation. One is the eye and another is a camera, and that's why now like eye has like f-stop of 3.2. That is the maximum sensitivity, kind of like a maximum opening which can happen in the eye pupil, and light can enter. But the camera has much more sensitivity. That is like nearly 1.4. So then less the number of the f-stop, more the light will enter. So this is the like the maximum opening which like the camera can have. I think it can go beyond that also. But according to record, still what I saw was like 1.4. Anyone knows any lower number than this? Actually, 0.8 or something like that.
F1.2 is the lowest.
Okay. So yeah, nice to
Highly
know.
expensive lenses have that.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
Thank you. Then we have so here like obviously camera is much more capable of opening the aperture. So this is called as aperture over here, and here is its pupil in our eye. And next let's go to the ISO settings. Okay, our vision is sensitive enough, but then we don't have method to get more sensitivity working on in our eyes. And but the known best sensitivity is like 25,600. That is the ISO we can go. That is the sensitivity of the image processor which is there in different cameras, and it helps in actually like you know kind of when we see like low light condition, And why I use the owl is because we are like quite blind in those terms. We cannot increase our sensitivity for the eye, but the cameras can do it. And that's why like we can always see something in dark also through camera when you increase ISO and along with f-stop. So both will help to like see the darker parts of the area or the image, and it can still see, but human vision cannot do that. Now megapixels. Okay, I also has megapixels, and I has like 52 megapixels, whereas camera can only go to 24 megapixel right now. It will go more in like later coming years, and this way like eyes are like quite better in terms of camera, and it can be more than 52 megapixels because we also have like wider view what we can see in the world. The camera cannot see that much, so and the sensitivity is quite good, and there are a lot of other things which helps in like every pixel. There are more things we'll be talking about the eye actually in like later sessions, like whenever we have more, like because there is so much to talk about, like how we perceive uh, images, color, and all those things. Like so, we'll be having a talk over that. Okay, so now like now how we compare like camera with the eyes is like it's like photorealism versus human experience. Okay, photorealism is with the camera, and human experience is like what we see through eyes. And there is a gap between that. I still consider eye is the best device because we have a like certain adjustment in our eyes which cannot be done in camera, and that is something to do deal with exposure and some adjustment which our eye and brain is able to do, and that is what we see here. We have three images. One is which is like totally underexposed. The underexposed image is totally dark and we cannot see any information actually. But then there is another image which is overexposed. So in this, like most of the highlight areas will go like washed out. We can see some good amount of details in the shadow region. And then we call it like, no, this is a good amount of exposure we have given. This is a good amount. But then this is where eye wins over the camera. Is because when you try to, oh, sorry. Okay, when we try to go in like this, some details over here, all the details are lost, which we can see here in the overexposed image. See, these details are gone actually. This is the problem when we try to do something with the camera. Like here you can see there are no details. Even though it is considered like a better exposed image, but then we have lost a lot of details in that terms. Maybe I just cropped it. I'm sorry on that one. But yeah, so you can see here in the this region. Can you see my cursor actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So in this region, you can see the details, right? There is some light play which is happening on this one. But then when it comes to the properly exposed image, we just lose everything. And this is where I always is better device. Okay, this is GIMP and I'm not very familiar with it, but then it's okay. So next move to the next slide. And this is what I was talking about is When it is overexposed, you see the lighted area, the highlight area, where there is a key light which is falling on the object. It is completely without the details. The details are gone. It is washed out. We call it as a like a washed out image when it is overexposed. And now let's go to the underexposed image. Here we see like the in the shadow there are no details. It's completely flat. And then we go to the like kind of properly exposed image. But then still see there is completely dark section over here. If it is a if it was the eye, we could have seen here. But then it is much better image compared to over and underexposed images. Make sense? So this is the reason why I consider eye to be a better in terms of image creation. And this is a painting now. Okay, Viswajit, tell me.
Actually, someone mic is on actually, and music put some.
Okay, Pallavi. I think Pallavi's mic is on. Yeah, thank you, Pallavi. So what we see here is a painting actually. And now painting is something which is very much close to our eyes because an artist can see a lot of variation in color. He can adjust to what he sees and then he puts the paint onto the canvas. Now you can see like no every details are there in the image. Like in the shadow areas, there are other color variation which is happening and all. And that's why even though like how good the cameras are, it cannot get something which is close to human experience because human experience is something to do with adjusting the exposure to the thing, and that's why like the paintings look more lively than the photograph in any time. And how good is the artist can create those stunning images. And for that I have seen like the movie which is Ghibli's movie, My Neighbor Totoro
Yes.
and all. They have really wonderful paintings done, the backgrounds done. And I happen to see the actual artwork, and they are really stunning when you see in real. Actually, they're much more better than what you have seen in the movie. And you can actually feel that things are happening. The water is moving, you know, even though it is not that realistic, but then the color play is there, and the kind of emotions are emoted like whenever the painting is done. So that's why like you have like nice exposure happening everywhere. You can see all colors. Most of the colors are covered in this image, and that's why like painting is more close to human experience. And good thing is even our softwares can do that. A camera cannot do it. So when you're creating something in CG, you have all these options to do. So that's why like I think if you want to create something, an image, you can create it in the software and it will be very, very close to human experience. That's why we need to observe things. You cannot photograph and just come home and think that you will get that human experience from the references which are supposed to be from photograph because you have already lost so much of information to that. We'll see more about it. Oh, yeah. So this is a work from James Gurney. Uh, Maybe some people must be knowing about James Gurney, and he's uh, quite a nice artist, and he has his book Light and Color. And if you people have chance to buy it or read it, please do it. So over here, what we see is the same thing what we were talking about. See the detail. This is the photograph. The photograph, even though this bounce is very nice, which is over here in this place, this bounce is really amazing. Um, this part of bounce which is happening. It's really amazing. But then I think he was painting in a different time zone. When he took the photograph, the shadow was near the wall, and then it was here in the painting. So maybe he took the photograph later. So you see here, like there are not much of details which is seen here, and there is some overexposure happening in the some of the region, the sky and the road. But see here how beautiful this image is, because this is what we see now through our eyes, and we don't lose colors, we don't lose gradations which is happening. See, there is a color bleed of the sky which is happening, the reflection in the shadow and reflection in the of the sky over here. But then we don't see that here because they have lost the information because of the capability of camera is not that good. Maybe we can get a better result, but then there is still some limitations will be there. You see here there is no information, it's all black. But you see in the painting, you see the color play which is happening over here. And he paints quite realistic. He doesn't do more like color work, extra exaggerated color work. He doesn't do. He paints realistic. So I believe him that he's painted something which he saw in the environment. And when you see some of the other artists work here as a painting, like this. So this is the same thing which is happening. If this was photograph, it would have been not that interesting. Now you see the uh, fog which is building up as you go towards the horizon. So it's really nice. You won't be able to capture this in the camera, and that's why when I go to some place to watch some nice background, I never take my camera because I lose all this. I lose all these kind of beautiful things which is happening in the nature. And I never feel like, no, even if you take a photograph, is not going to get you this unless I can go and paint it. I'm not that good at painting, but then I want to paint also sometime. So yeah, this is the thing on this one. So painting is much more near to the human experiences, and he's the artist who is actually painting this image. So see here, everything is overexposed. We lose all the details. It's not very good to your eyes in terms of how it looks. And because he was losing some information in the dark, he overexposed it so that he can actually go and check the details in the shadow areas. But in the image, it is much better, and he's painting it. So there is no overexposure. So this is what is like best thing about what painting can do. Okay. And yeah, so any questions? Because we finished this part of like photorealism versus human experience. Anyone has anything to say on this one?
What was his last name? James?
James Gurney, Gurney, and you will see a lot of his tutorials on painting and all. Everything is like for free available, and but then you can get his book also. That is really nice, and I do have that book too. I bought it
Okay.
more recently, and he talks about a lot of things and a lot of concept about lighting in his own terms actually, because he's not a 3D artist. He's more like a illustrator. So he talks in those sense more, but a lot to learn from him. Anyone else has any question on this one?
What is the name of his book? Book.
Light and color.
Light and color.
Yeah, one thing. Maybe I can just show what book it is somewhere. Okay. This is the book actually. So this is the book you people can actually read. I have it like a actual book with me. So I think you can also download as a PDF maybe. You can buy from Amazon or something like that. And it is really nice. Okay. Okay, let's move on to like importance of photographic references. I hope you people are not bored by now. I understand like
No,
it's
no.
like uh, when things are like no when like this kind of tutorials which is happening and all, we need to have some break in between so that we don't get bored with it, but there is a lot of information we have to like transfer. Yeah, Pallavi, what do you want to say anything? Oh no, okay, fine. So let's go move on to like importance of photographic references, and this is very important when you are doing when you want to start doing lighting. This is the part where you have to do it is collect references, and without references don't move forward. If you're not using references, that means you are losing so much in terms of what you could have done to a certain image. So basically, I just took some of the references over here. So for example, if this was your shot and if you want to light this shot, what is the first step? What you have to do is maybe if you have a color key which has been provided by client, well and good. Even then, if you have a color key, you still need to go and search for the references because there are a lot of things which you can light, and for example the reflection in the glasses and some gopos and lighting information. And I just considered maybe this is a morning scene, and for that reason I just collected different references, and you can see like what is happening. There is some gloom on the glass which is happening over here, and then some light play which is happening, the reflection you can see over here. There is some blues in the shadow, the gobo, and see this occlusion which is happening on top. There is some bounce light which is happening. See, the light is from top, but then you can see the shadow which is going this side, like almost like bouncing from down. So it has a shadow which is going on top. Then there is this sky which is reflecting very nice shadows and gobos. You can use some of the fog rays in the image, so you can have those in like as a reference. And I love doing bokehs. So these are bokehs. Bokehs are created by the lenses. So bokeh means blur actually, and that's a Japanese word. And you can get some nice bokeh happening. So usually this scene will have some defocus. So this defocus we can create. It won't be too extreme. If it is like too close up, there will be too close, but there will be some bokeh which is happening. Uh, if there is some like smaller information of light which is playing here, and if it is blurred, it will look like a bokeh actually. See, there are these some of the things which is converting into bokehs. So that we can create on this one. And you see how the fill light is there in the scene. We are not going to give a very flat light right onto the character in the PG. There'll be some fill light we need to play with. So when the light falls, how the shadow is reacting and how it is bouncing to become a fill light. This is also very important, which we need to consider. Then there is this. I don't know if people can see there is lens flares which is happening. We can make lens flares into our scene, and then we see the some ground part. How we can treat the ground with the shadows. We can see the even some part of like no the character lighting is there in this information. See how little bit overexposed kind of kicker which is playing on the character. So what you see over here, like no, when it is a morning time, like things are like little bit overexposed in the highlight area somewhere, and that is how you can show the morning scenes. And see here, there is overexposure which is happening, and then there is a fog rays which you can use. So I just took all those references just to see how it can look like, what kind of shadow colors we can actually use, either more going more towards green or more towards red. The blue will like have that tendency to move towards green or red actually. So it becomes more like violet sometime, and that we see more in the afternoon time. Also, we need to see that morning times are having some more contrast than other times. The shadows tend to become a little darker, and that's why we see some kind of freshness in the scene. There are some dark areas which is there in them. So usually what happens is in the morning time shadows become more darker, and the kicker light becomes more brighter. This is the effect, and that's why we need to find a lot of references. While if you don't have these references, you'll end up just adding a key light and just be happy with what is happening. But what about all these things which you can observe from the different photographs? See here, this one I forgot. See here how the bump is playing onto that, and how the specularity is creating some transition from light to shadow. You can see how it is behaving. So all these details you will be able to get it into your image, and that's how your image will become more successful. And that's why referencing is the first major step. Okay, yeah, tell us.
Since you talked about overexposure, I had
Mm-hmm,
a question because in when I'm working on CG projects from studios,
mm-hmm,
they
mm-hmm.
tend to call it a burnt scene, and they try to avoid it, right? But
Yeah,
in VFX, they try to keep it because it
yes,
is close to realism.
yes.
So since you have more experience on CG, can you talk about it? Because I tend to give overexposure in some places because I find it beautiful. I don't know. It's maybe just my point of view, but
Yeah,
can you
so
talk
I
about
think
it?
why we don't overexpose in CG is more about something to do with, as we talked about, no, like being more artistic actually. It is not photoreal. So CG is more like no artistic choices what we make, and definitely in VFX movie, if there is an overexposure which is happening in the background plate, you have to match it. If you don't match it, it won't fit in the scene at all. So there is no point of not doing it. So it is very well valued there. But then when it comes to CG, uh, we see it more like a painting, like, and it can be used actually. You can use it. Overexposure can be used, but depends what kind of mood you want to create. So it's a tool. You can use it in. That's why I like more of CG, because you have that freedom. An artist can decide what he needs to do in the scene. So mostly we avoid because we lose details. See here, there are no details actually. It's a
Mhm.
completely white patch,
Mhm.
and then it hurts actually when it goes to
Yeah.
DI and all. You are not able to get any information. If
Mhm.
the director thinks about, no, I need to get some information here he won't be able to get into the full little color processing. He can overexpose later. So we have that option of changing things in DI. We can do it. So we always try to give maximum amount of details in shadows and light, so that he
Mhm.
can manipulate however he wants to do it. So as a lighting artist, we
Okay.
should give them the highest range possible, and that is only possible when you are not overexposing and not underlighting it. If you can, like
Mhm.
in the shadows also, we have to give information. It is very easy to, like, no, give add more contrast, overexpose, make it darker. That is possible, the shadows and all. But then if you don't have information, and if they thought, oh, this information they need, they cannot put it. That's why CG films, we always uh, light it very nicely, like the shadows are detailed, and we don't overexpose the highlights.
Okay.
Anyone
Okay.
has any questions? Okay, Harsh, tell me.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I just got the mic working. Just,
Oh,
just
that's good.
to, yeah, just to add on Arjun's
Mm-hmm.
question. I
Okay.
guess in the VFX, because I have more experience in the VFX.
Okay.
In VFX, mostly we keep it overexposed, Arjun. According to me, to because it happens in real life. If it's a bright sunny day and if nothing is getting overexposed, it does not look very photoreal, and we
Hmm.
have to
Yeah.
make it physically accurate as well at the same time. But in CG, it's not important to make it physically accurate, but it should be pleasing to the eye. Because
Yeah.
if you've
Exactly.
seen any movies like in underwater scene, you cannot see anything underwater through a human eye or even with a camera. But if you see Finding Dory and all those movies, you see everything. So I guess that's the main reason we don't overexpose, because the target audience is also very different. I guess the CG movies are more towards a younger audience, so that's also a reason to light everything properly, and also the mood. And
Yeah.
in
Definitely.
Tintin, I
Mhm.
guess they have used overexposing because it was more of it was a CG movie, but the look they were going for is more of a realistic one. In the new 3D Tintin, I guess you have watched it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was.
Yeah. I think that was a style which was adapted, and it is a style actually for a CG animation. If you see, like in VFX, we don't have any style. In
Yeah, it
VFX,
just
it
has
is
to be
always
physically accurate
photorealistic.
Exactly.
and look
Always.
realistic.
I don't think so. We should call it physically accurate, because the problem is the camera. The medium itself makes it more photorealism, and physically accurate can be something which we see in through our eyes actually. And I think there is this point, like, no, the photoreal is not real, but it is a depiction from the camera itself, that we have to cheat in our images. Even though, like, we can control it, we tend to make it overexposed so that it matches to the plate. I think here it is all everything to do with plate. If the plate has overexposure, we have to do it. If the shadows are dark, you have to make it darker in the shadows for the objects or character what you are using it. That's how you will be able to match it. It's all about matching, matching, and matching. There is no if and buts over here, and this is why, like, there is some things which uh, I'm quite away from VFX, is because of the point we don't do composition in VFX, and that is what doesn't like appeal me a lot about VFX. Yeah, but it's a nice medium, and as well, this can be a long discussion, and we can always, like, no, we can have some points. The VFX is better than CG, and CG is better than VFX, but everyone has their own liking. That is what it is. And I think as a part, like, I'll be teaching more of, like, no, composition and color and light, and that can be also used in VFX. Because what happens is, like, there are sometimes you get a background to light in VFX, and that is where you might have to create some stylized look. in the background, and then you can use it in the VFX movie. It can happen. Depends upon the director. So yeah, I think we can move on from the. So you people, anytime if you have something to light, first thing what you have to do is get references. Get as many references as possible. There are a lot of light play, lot of camera effects we need to put to make it look more believable in terms of like what we are trying to do in the animation is something to deal with what we do in live action. Like live action, there is a cinematography which happens, and this is some same thing we have to try to copy into animation. But then we also have an extra edge of using the software so that it can match to the human experience also. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on to next thing, and this is visual depth. Anyone has any idea about what is visual depth, and anyone knows about it? Any points on visual depth?
Perspective. Yeah. Perspective.
Oh, sorry, Nikhil, we cannot hear you very nicely. That's a problem. Okay, Arjun, can you tell me?
Yeah, I think visual depth, I mean, what I think it is like a depth given to a scene through different media, like it might be colors, it might be the placement of the objects, the composition, and obviously the camera depth. But
Mhm.
again, like giving importance to an object through the composition of the scene. It can be colors, it can be the placement, composition, two, three factors included.
Yes, yeah, you are right. Just that I'll be adding more points. That is the only thing.
Yeah, sure.
But that is the
Yeah.
exact answer to what it is actually. But then let's see for like anyone has anything to say on what Harsh?
Uh, Yeah, I guess as far as I understand, at the end of the day, it's a single 2D frame with two
Yeah.
axes. To
Mhm.
create the third axis, the depth, we use, I guess, different mediums. We use volume, we use light and shadow, we use contrast, colors,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
mainly to guide the viewer where we want the viewer to see. I guess that's
Yeah.
the visual depth.
Yeah. The last part, somewhat, it is more about storytelling. What you said, it is more about like, guiding the viewer to see what is more about storytelling. We'll also come on to that. But yeah, the first part, what you said, like no, because we are using a 2D frame, that is why we need to use visual cues to tell. Like it's kind of we as a human being tend to have this. No, he, we have seen some of the things happening in nature. Okay, that we see the fog and all that is something which we always see. If someone who has never seen anything, he cannot recreate that imagination when you see when we light it in a certain way, because those are the visual cues actually. So we are playing with the memories of the audience, that the audience has seen something in real life, and that we are cheating it, and when we're doing it and or exaggerating or play choreographing in such a way that he tends to believe that the image has a depth. So it is about that. So let's move on to like the next thing. Now, why visual depth is important to be practiced in while we are doing lighting is a simple fact that when we are doing lighting, we just have one camera. But when we see things, we have two eyes. And yeah, we can do stereo, but then stereo, I don't think so it's going to work. And because there are a lot of flaws to it, and it is not a very great experience in terms of long time viewing. And that's why we use visual depth to create the depth in the images. So now we are restricted to only one eye. That is why we need to have understanding of visual depth. So when we have a vision, so our vision is very different than what is there in the camera. So there are like cones and rods. We'll talk more about it, how it receives lights and how the colors are uh, projected on the retina and all those things. We'll talk in coming sessions more about eye. But then usually like uh, we try to uh, copy the vision of eye into our images, and it all depends upon the human memories, what he has seen before. And on those, like, we are going to show him that there is certain depth in the image. So when we see something, we see this way. We see one side of the cube in one eye, left eye, and somewhere we see a less part of this one on this one. And our brain can actually combine both the images, and the eye can understand, the brain can manipulate the image, process it, and then we understand that it is a 3D object. This is what happens in from our eyes actually, and this cannot be done in the processing is always in the brain, unless there is I think the next thing, the advancement is 3D holograms. 3D holograms is the only way we can actually create 3D, because even then if we are using two cameras to shoot it, like this is a 3D camera, but the processing cannot happen in the camera itself. The two splitted image has to go to our brain through our eyes, this way, to convert it into 3D image. But then there are many flaws into this, and it's still, I don't think so it's still going to be future this way. I think it will be 3D hologram which will be happening. So, but we still work on 3D films. We still do 3D part of it. Let's see what happens next. So this is why we need to, now again it comes to human experience. Like we need to show human that this is a 3D thing, and there is a depth into that, and it is believable. So how to do that is the next question. And that's why this comes into better, like what are the different elements which we can use to create that visual depth. We'll be talking just about one today because there are many, and we can use that while we light it. Like, these are the different elements we need to put it into when we are lighting. So what we see here in, I consider everything as a element what we can use for a visual depth. One is overlapping. I'm not going to talk about it today, but you can see as a term what it is. When two objects are overlapping on each other, that's how you tend to understand that there is a distance, then there is a fog, which you have seen in the real world. And when you see in the images, you think there is a distance. And that's how the fog helps in a visual depth. There is a gradation which happens and other things we'll talk about in the next session. And then the ground shadows. These are very, very important thing. So when you want to create visual depth, you need to have ground shadows. Keep an eye on it because it helps an audience to understand where the object is placed. Depth of field, very easy to use. This is the most easiest way of creating visual depth. The lens has depth of field, and when you create it in 3D renders, it tends to look like this is in front and that is behind. Then scale and position of the object. The scale of the tree you can see, and the like others are small. See, there is no 3D in this one. but we can actually make out that, oh, this is in front, that is in behind. So that is one more thing. This is like must thing to have. If you have this, the perspective lines, it will make you believe that there is a depth. These are perspective and receding lines. We'll all talk about all these factors in coming sessions. Everything we'll talk about each and every topic actually. And then there is a change in hue and situation. Some part I think Harsh was saying about this is like the color variation which happens. There is a warmness, warmness, there is a coolness, or like the band of color which is changing. There is a saturation part into that which we need to see, and we'll talk about it. And today's topic will be on pull of lights. It's much simpler, but then very, very important to have a visual depth. And that is eye movement. I think this is about composition. And this is about if you can do an eye movement, unless this is a storytelling thing, we need to do an eye movement. And this is very difficult to achieve. Even after years of practice, only few shots I was able to do it because it is very tough to do. Because there are so many departments which needs to work on it. And I think apart from Pixar, no one does it. I'm very sorry, but no other studio does it. Because they know how to do it. And all the images, they will have that. And then there is a change in values. This is also a part of pull of light actually. Because even though like there are like, oh, there is a brighter part and a darker part, but there is a very nice gradation which should happen. So, and every ground plane should have this gradation, which will help you to get that visual depth in your scene. So everything, it should not be without any gradation. And see, this is a photograph. And you see like, no, there is it's flat actually. But when you come to CG, it's better to have some gradation. If you have gradation, you will get viewer to think that it has a depth, more depth. This is how what I like about CG is you can create what you want. See this, fortunately we have some image here. See, there is some gradation which you will always feel in the images. See, blue going to yellow orange. This is done purposely to create that depth actually. So these are all elements of visual depth, and I'm sure there will be more. If you people can come out with more, please do tell me. Like this is also can help in creating depth. You know, anyone has any insight on this one? Like, you know, I can use this and we can create more, generate more depth. I think one of the things which I forgot to add here was like, no, in cinematography, we always do that actually. And that is light over dark or dark over light. That is the contrasting what we do to create that depth actually. And this is also part of, somewhere it is a part of overlapping. When we do overlapping, we do it. And also it can come into pull of lights because we are doing same thing. We are using something bright, then we are using dark, when they're bright, dark, and that is what pull of light has like more than that, but it can be only one spot also that we can say it as a pull of light. Any questions? Anyone want to say anything on this one? You can say you are wrong. That is also fine.
Swapnil, I had a doubt. I know you are going to cover that later, but what exactly did you mean by eye movement?
Eye movement is like letting the viewer know what has to be looked at first, then the next,
Okay,
and then
got
the
it.
next, and then the next. So the eye movement is something if you can able to achieve in your images, nothing better than that. Usually, if the shot is like no very quick, you don't have to do it because you don't get time for viewer to see 10 things. But it is a long shot and it has like many frames. then it makes a lot of sense. If, like, for example, you are making a static image, okay, if you want to do a CG static image or whatever, and if you have a eye movement into that, it means the viewer will be engaged in the image for a longer and longer time. This is very important. It is not only important that you light it very nicely. It is very important for you to keep the viewer engaged in the image for a longer time. That will decide that you are successful in lighting the scene.
Mhm. Got it.
Yeah, so we are not just trying to light something, but we are also trying to make impress the viewer. Like, no, he watches your art and he's impressed, and that can only happen if you keep him inside the image for a longer time. You must have done, like, no, very amazing shading here and something like that, but what happens, no, we were like, no, he just sees and he just goes out of the image. The eye should not go out of the image. That's why that eye movement is very important to be done. So every time, like, no, viewer tries to go outside the image, he will come back. See this arrow, what you say? This is pixels. So when I'm going here, I'm seeing here, and then I say, oh, there is an arrow. Okay, it's telling me to go this side, and I'm going back to this image.
Mhm.
Then I see this area. Then I go back. Then I rotate onto top. And no, no. And then I see this part. You know, this is how the Pixar will always light. And see, when you go here, then you suddenly start feeling that, no, there is a brighter spot over here. So I come back here, and then I see here, and then I go back and come back, and then the rotation happens continuously. This is why the images become very nice and interesting. They have done anything extraordinary. If you see, like, is it like extraordinary shading what they have done? No, it is just not normal shading what they have done. Everything is normal, but then how they compose is amazing. You can just do normal things, but compose in such a way people will believe that this is a nice image actually, because of the eye movement and the composition. That is the thing. You can make like how much detailed things and all, but if you don't do proper composition, there is no pointer. You can go high realistic, but you cannot keep the person engaged. It's a failure. That's why this is a very important part, and we are going to use most of the thing from these is to make that happen in the image. That's why eye movement is very important, but it's very tough also. So I think we are done with the element of visual depth. Okay. So, yeah, and now next part. We're just going to talk about pull of lights. One element out of it, and this is very simple. But I think most of them just know what is pull of lights, right? Or no? Anyone knows what is pull of lights? Maybe everyone left the session, and only Arjun and me are there. Okay. Anyone on pull of lights?
Yeah, I guess I have seen it a lot, but haven't considered it as a medium of visual depth until now. Because I guess in
Okay.
mostly in VFX, what we are focused on is, as you have rightly said, is matching the plate.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
guess we don't go very much into composition part and
Yeah,
the
yeah. That is
color
that
and
is.
variation and
Hmm.
that thing.
I think VFX lighting is more technical, because if you know more about cameras and all the lenses and all, you have to, like, try to copy those effects into what you're doing in lighting. And we usually, like, when I was working in prime focus, it was like I got a HDRI. I just put it, tweak it, and 90% the result is there. And then little bit of lights here and there we put to make things happen. I think that is how the. But then it's a very different field. Like to know and understand about the cameras and all. It's a very technical. So I feel it is a completely different uh, study. It cannot be like same as the CG, but then CG does have that realism part, which can always play a big role. And if you can learn VFX, it is a plus point for you, so that you can do that kind of realistic lighting. So it's a like no, it's a knight in armor if you know VFX also, and you are in CG. So okay, let's talk about what is pool of lights. So you see here, it's like no, you have one nice hallway, and there are a lot of lights on top. But unfortunately, it's completely flat. Like some gradation I can see though, but then it doesn't have the division of light which is happening. If that has happened, you could have make out that like there is more depth in the image. So can you feel that this is more flat and this is more like it has a more visual depth actually because of that
Yes.
variation. There is a there's a bright, then dark, then bright, then dark, then bright, and it goes on continuing, and it makes us believe that there is a depth. So what happens over here is like we don't see that variation at all. I cannot see. I is just moving like this. It doesn't stop at all. Because of these perspective lines, which is one of the element, eye does go very quickly from here to there. But then it doesn't know how much it is traveling here. It's like we don't have a visual cue over here that what is happening. But here we know there is something goes here, then it stops, and then we are able to like no stop for some time, then go back, and then that variation is required, and it adds a variation actually to an image, so that we make believe that right, there is a greater distance from this point to that point, and that misses over here. And that's why if this image was having like no, these lights slow and brighter here, little darker here, then again brighter here, then it should have added a lot of interest. And see, this is like you saw it, and I'm not able to understand how much depth is there in the image. Apart from like it only plus point is over here is that there is a perspective lines. The receding lines which are there, which is helping, but there are no pool of lights. So if that was there, it would have been much interesting, and we could have waited in this image for a longer time. But if you see here, this is more interesting image, right? Because of this pool of lights, and it can direct you very nicely. It takes you some time to reach there, but here you just reached here. So that is also important, that this is also a part of like eye movement, where like viewer will be like engaged for some time. He's waiting on this one, then he's watching the another one, then he's seeing another shadow. This is how he's like not spending some time, and then he feels there is a lot of distance over here. And this is something to do with what you see in the, if you go to a hotel room, this will be something what you will see, and then you memorize it. Oh, I went to that hotel, and that hallway was like that. There were these lights which were shining from the top. It was a long way actually. So that memories will pop up now when viewer sees it, and that's how he can make out there's a judgment, there is a depth in this image. Any questions on this one? Because we will be wrapping up very quickly after this. Okay.
No, no, no. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So let's just jump onto like the pool of lights. I think. Okay, so I just took different examples to just explain what is pool of lights, but it is quite simple. But then, if you see this image, there are like a certain play of light which is happening. There is some maybe window or something like that. And then this, maybe there are some objects which is dividing that light pattern into different. So it can be also gobo actually, which can play like a pool of lights actually. So if this was like no completely bright from here to here, one light, it would have been like no flat, and you could have cannot make out like there is a distance from this point to this point. So that's why this pool of light helps this image. The shadow is falling, and there is a nice variation which is happening. So it does help you creatively, and it also helps you to like get the visual depth in the images. See, this is very interesting. What if this did not there was no pool of lights in this one? There is. That's why it is so interesting. See here, it is not that interesting. And this is also full of light. I'm not very happy with the image though. But then you see this, there is a light spot here, there is a light spot here, there's a light spot here and here and here. So it helps to divide an image into different parts when you are using a full of light. That's what we can see in this image. And there is two things which is happening. See, you must have seen like a lot of images. I think it was someone who did recently posted one image actually, and that had this foreground element which goes into silhouette actually. So we do it like for two things. One, this is also a pool of light. This is in the shadow. That means like there is a pool of light after that element. You know, that's how I consider this kind of effects when the foreground elements come and when you make them darker. It's a part of pool of lights which is happening in the image. And also this is part where the overlapping is happening, which is helping a viewer to understand. So there are two concepts over here of visual depth which is happening here. Then there is this light which is falling on the ground, which help us to understand that sun is shining through and we have distance. And there is one nice curve like a snake. There is and then there is a spotlight which is breaking this path. So pull of light also helps you to break things, like into divide things and break things. And it's quite interesting pattern actually to do so. Here also there is a pool of lights which is happening. Just because the shadows are casted from the trees, it converts into a pool of lights. And even in the fog, you can see that shadows. So it is much more interesting that way. See, there is a dark area over here, and then there is light, then there is a dark, there is a light. So if your image has all this, it will automatically create depth. If this was like no without trace, just one light, it would have not shown you depth this way. Then there is this painting. Okay. So the artist has painted the pool of lights. There is a bright part, then there is a dark part. Then again there is a bright part. Then again there is a dark part. Then again bright. So it need not to be like only light. You can also play with like if you have some pattern texture, that also can help to suggest more like it is like a division of space which is happening, and that will help you to guide the eye. So it goes like from here to there, and you feel there is a lot of distance to cover. That's why you feel that in this image has a depth, and there is this bright, and it is on top of the dark. Again, that overlapping thing is there in this one. That there are a lot more things we'll discuss like when the topic comes, like then yeah. This is all about pull of rights. Any questions you people have, because we'll just move on to discussing the images after this. No questions, anyone?
No
Okay.
questions actually are clear. Really good. Then
Okay. Okay, let's move on to like now the I mean that is quite nice. What we can do now, let's move on to the images what you people have selected. Okay, definitely you people will have more things to talk about now, because this is a very important part what we are learning now onto like how to see the images. So I'm just trying to see where is the Discord. Okay, the Discord is here. So let's go from the first image to the okay. Yeah, I think Arjun. Before that, there was one more image, right?
Nikhil, I think Nikhil had posted.
Yeah. So yeah, Nikhil had a very nice image actually. So Nikhil, are you able to share your image and talk about it? Is it possible for you to do, Nikhil? Nikhil has a one big problem with the with his audio actually. Okay, let's move on to Arjun. I think Nikhil was saved for some reason. Can you, Arjun? Yeah, Nikhil will do in next session. So,
Next session.
Arjun, can you share your screen?
My screen.
Yeah, or like, do you
Or
want to?
or probably I can just explain from this, I think.
Okay.
So
Yes.
yeah. So this scene I particularly chose because first of all I love the scene. Like
Mm-hmm.
actually it was very emotional. At the same time, they didn't make it a sad scene. At the same time, it was emotional plus it was kind of happy. I don't know, it was a
Okay.
mixture of both scenes. And
Mm-hmm.
in the first image, they're both standing in shadow because like it is an emotional scene and she
Okay.
was crying and she was trying to convince him. And
Mm-hmm.
once, like, once Nick the fox, once he stepped into the light, it actually represented, like, he has come over that emotional part. Like, he
Oh
has come
yeah.
over. Like, he has forgiven her. Until that, he was in the shadow when he was listening to what she has to say. Then he stepped into the light. And again, in the second scene, when she has come over it, when she, like, stopped feeling guilty about it, even she stepped into the light. So this was
Okay.
I think only like
Nice.
a normal audience wouldn't notice this as a technical part, but I think as a lighting artist we notice. But that is the best part. Like normal audience feel it, they don't notice it, right? So I
Yeah.
think this
Exactly.
was a very good composition. And one more
Yeah.
thing to
Yeah.
add up, I think the round tunnel, when they're standing inside that round tunnel, it kind of is like a safe space. This is just a personal thing. I think if it was a square tunnel or something, like it would be more dynamic or but the round tunnel kind of like kept it as a safe space for them. Just the
Hmm.
thing. So this is what I felt about this.
Yeah. Very nice. You can also see some pull of lights, right?
Ah,
Which is
definitely, definitely.
happening. Yeah, there's like pull of light which is
Definitely.
happening here, and like there is this overlapping which is happening. No, and I
Yeah.
really like that division of space which is happening here.
Division, definitely.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so like he's into light and she's in the shadow. Very nice image.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. I never thought because I don't remember this shot. I've seen the movie, but I don't remember the shot.
Uh-huh.
So see this overexposure. We can see it is
There
done here.
is, yes, light bit, yeah.
Yeah, some places we have seen that, and since see what happens, when you are in shadow and when you are to lift the shadows to light it, definitely then what happens is like the lighter part overexposes, and this is a
Mm-hmm.
very natural thing. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
do that, it will not look convincing,
True, true.
but when you are here you see like though it's not that bright.
That overexposed, true.
Yeah, but here it is overexposed because we are into the shadow. So when the highlight part goes on top, the darker part goes down. It
Mm-hmm.
becomes more darker. That we have to, that curve we need to understand always to convince the
Okay.
audience that it works. So this is where I think a lot of people they missed out on this one, and that's why what happens is they underexpose outside part and make it
Mm-hmm.
darker
Mm-hmm.
inside, and it doesn't look convincing. The light itself doesn't look convincing. Here they have convinced
Uh-huh.
us that no, this is the light is working in a realistic way here.
Mhm.
Even though there are like something which is not realistic, right? You won't get that much blue, but then they are still able to convince us that this is realistic. Thank you,
Thank
Arjun. This
you.
was a nice explanation.
Thank
I
you.
do. I
Actually,
did do
didn't notice the pool of light until you explained it to me.
okay,
I
okay,
knew
yeah.
there were good breakups, but actually now I realize the distance in the
Yeah,
sea.
definitely,
So that
definitely.
is,
It's
yeah.
because of that variation we have with the light and shadow and the pool of light happening. Yeah, very nice way. Thank you so
Thank
much. Yeah. Pallavi, do you want to talk?
Yeah, I want to share my screen actually. One second.
Okay. Maybe I have to stop sharing, which can happen, and we can share. I think that's what happens. Can you share it?
Wait,
Yeah,
wait.
I think that is good. Okay. Um,
Yeah, can you?
there is some you cannot share.
Yeah, I'm sharing.
Maybe it's not working for you. I will just maybe I will stop sharing. Maybe that is the reason. I'll just stop sharing so it will work for you. Now you try.
Is it working?
No.
Oh shit. Wait.
No, try to share it again. Or if it is not working, you can just stop from the screen.
Yeah.
I will share.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah. Yeah, because maybe
Uh,
it's not happening.
yeah, I'm talking. Okay.
Okay, wait one second. I'll share my screen. Uh, one second. Now I'm not able to do it properly. One second. Enter screen and then this one and then share. Okay. I just yeah. So this is your image.
Yeah.
Quite nice.
I
Let's see.
I really like the lighting. Actually, lighting. The ream and the light on a head. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The emotional part of the character mm, that is shown is very passionate about something. He's playing piano. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And the depth of field. Okay, that
Yeah.
depth of field of the image. Mm, I think the image is so much balanced. I mean, some kind of balanced image.
Yeah.
Uh, According to foreground and background.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And the face expressions of the character, the guideline. I actually I just draw it on my screen. I don't know how why I can't share it. Uh, mm,
Okay. We are talking about these lines. Which lines?
this I mean from the piano top, the headphone. I mean, I think it's a microphone.
Okay, the
Head,
microphone. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, a microphone from the character is a circular movement. Okay, it's a kind of one kind of guideline or a leading line. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the light is also hitting in the character. It's also hitting the leading line, huh? Or creating
Mm-hmm.
a guideline. And
Mm-hmm.
I think when I shared it on Photoshop or anything, I just see it's maintain a golden rules or rules of third also the composition part.
Yeah.
So I like this image for this view. Uh,
Yeah, definitely. I think this is obviously like when you are talking about a Pixar image, you don't have to say also like that it is well composed because they are going to compose it anyways. But then we can talk about some of the things, like which is happening here, and we see there is a perspective lines which is happening. There is a receding line which is happening over here, and see these mic stand and I don't know what it is called for the piano, the top portion of the air, it actually helps you to drive your eye into the scene, you know
Yeah, yeah,
that's the thing.
yeah,
So that's why like it is very, but because the problem is with this character is looking very strongly this side, and it has to be like, no, it sees here and it goes back, and when you it comes back on this one again, and
yeah,
this is how it goes on. Yeah.
yeah. And the part is the image is telling something. I mean, telling some story or something. It's like kind of I'm hitting the character. Huh. That's a point actually.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like as we covered, like there are pull of lights. Definitely, there are pull of lights which is happening. There is a fog behind. There is a saturation difference which is happening. There is a color difference in the hue, in the light which is happening. And you see these bouquets. What we were talking about. This is the defocus, that blur which is happening. That's why we see there's a nice, like there is a nice depth in this image. Also, you
Yeah.
see, they have not given any details in the corner because they don't want the viewer to see here.
Hmm.
Because there is a if the viewer might be interested here for unnecessary reason, and that's why the storytelling happens here.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you see that the main spot is here in the story because the what he's playing is more important. So this is a storytelling. Thank you so much, Pallavi, and let's move on to another image. That is by Biswajit. Uh, I wish once again, maybe like Biswajit had sent me the image, which is, or maybe next time. No, I made a mistake. Next time, maybe just we can mm, can actually
No,
maybe
actually,
no, you did not send me any
yeah,
image,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
So yeah, I'm sorry. I could have get a bigger image actually, but then you can talk about this image.
Yeah, actually, I choose this image from like movies Raya the Last Dragon,
Mm-hmm.
and and this image like it's a good reference of like character 3 point lighting also,
Yeah.
and this shot is like example like is a action movies, and this character like she is ready to action mood,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like focus the better focusable to like character to the like main highlight part, and it's like saying like it is a story actually, and also like here also like example like pool of lighting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like I really
So
like
even
this
you
animation.
even previous to the like what the session we had, you would have spoke about full of lighting this before this.
No, 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 no. Actually,
Okay, no
now,
problem.
now,
I'm just kidding. Yeah, it
yeah,
happens. It's okay.
yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
now I realize this. Actually, this is also like really
Yeah.
good example of full of lighting.
Yes,
So
definitely.
yeah, this and also defocus and all. Yeah,
Yeah, there
and
is a
here also like
for.
is a good example, and like light combination, and like warm light and cool light from is
Hmm.
environmental light. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about more of light colors, which we can actually use, and there's a
yeah,
lot of complementary color schemes are there. In like though sometimes they use most use is like warm versus cool, but then
yeah.
there are sometimes they use kind of complementary with the red versus green also sometimes,
Yes,
and it is more into texturing though. But then it is also something which helps to get a contrast from the BG to the character.
yes, yes, yes.
And yeah, we also see some value differences. See, it's a quite in terms of visual depth, there is a value difference. This is bright,
Yes,
and then behind
right.
it is darker. It goes darker, and then
Yes,
there is details. Oh yes, I forgot to put one more thing, which is a part of visual depth, is details. So as you go from near to far, the details are lost, and and I will add it, and we'll talk about it. Thank you for this image, and yeah, I think it's a really nice. There are some part where the overexposed we can see here, and
Yeah, yeah,
I think it happens when you are like overexposing. Then if you want to get some light happening here, which they wanted to actually this side, and that's why that overexposure helps to lift the light in the dark.
yeah, yeah. There is
Yeah,
some like environment fog also in background,
yeah,
and
definitely. The fog is there, and then there's a receding light perspective lines which are also helping. The scale is also helping in some way. This is
yes,
bigger, that is smaller. And yeah, thank you so much, Viswajit.
yeah.
It was
Thank
nice
you,
explanation.
thank you.
Yeah, and then we go to, even though we had an image, then we change it. And Tyaga, can you talk about? Or Tyaga is here? I'm not sure. Maybe he's not here. Okay, we'll check with Sarang. Sarang, can you talk
I,
about your image?
yeah,
It's a
I
very
think
nice.
yeah, it's an always fascinated by underwater scenes. I
Mm-hmm.
really like those scenes, and the most likable part is there are various colors through the coral reefs. So
Yes.
and so various colors. So you can see various colors in coral reef, and there is only one source of light through the sun. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
everything is dark. That's why.
Yeah, definitely. So here we see a spotlight which is coming here. It definitely is a pool of light which is happening here, and then
Okay.
some part here, and then this is in the dark. And then, so what do you like about this image? Why you like this image? Is our question.
The scene is very colorfully lit up because of the various colors used in the scene, and there's only one source of light, but the scene looks good, and they haven't used the 3 point lighting looks from the scene.
Yeah. Okay, I will talk about 3 point lighting once we finish all this. But then, yeah, what I see here is like the saturation. The saturation is quite nice on the characters, which help us to separate it from the rest. This is also a part that we were discussing about. I know the saturation. The more the close you are, more the saturation it is. You go far, it is more desaturated, and it makes mix with the environment. This helps in the visual depth actually. And there is a nice wave which happens in the image, which is like a, this is a part of eye movement what we are talking about. You know that wave form which is happening, and then you go like this, and you come back like this, and you come back on this one, and this is what it is called as the eye movement, which is happening in this image. You people can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is what it is about, like the eye movement. There's some perspective here. So from the front part, then behind, and the pool of light which is happening. Actually, there are more than one pool of light. If you see there is a brighter part portion here, then it becomes little darker here, and then again it is brighter.
Yeah.
And then there is a darker portion here, and then it again becomes even though they are not very contrasting, but then it exists here also. And they try to balance the reds of these two characters over here. Otherwise, this image would have been, the people would have been looking only at this portion, and the Dory would have been lost. So this has been balanced by this red color species, which helps to move the our vision towards this, and that time we see Dory. This is what is very important in terms of when we compose. We need to tell like the viewer should see. No, see here Dory is more important than these two guys because she's talking, right?
Yeah.
But then she's been framed very nicely, and there is also a triangle which is formed here. Some of the great artists, they use this composition technique to compose. Okay, thank you so much, Sarah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
one
yeah.
thing you were talking to, I think, Arjun, about a high exposure. There was one scene I wanted to share of Pixar's
Mhm.
short film. It was called Piper.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
Piper. Yeah.
it looked like a very live action, but
Mhm.
in the same, it was a fully CG animated
Yes.
movie, and
Yeah.
it was totally highly realistic and very very commendable
Yeah, that
output.
see, it is realistic, but they have followed all the rules what we are talking about the visual depth. They have used all the rules. If you look at that movie also, there will be so many things I was observing which is happening. They did a composition. So that composition goes long way. Just making it realistic doesn't work. Composition, that colors and everything, that play of light, everything is required. So when a cinematographer is also doing a live shoot, he takes care that it is being lighted in a way he wants it, so that it looks beautiful. And I think if you want to like how to get your scene approved from a client, very simple, make it beautiful. First thing, client will be confused what to give direction, and it happened with me sometime that client wanted to do something else, but I tried to give something which will look very appealing to client, and then they were kind of, they were not very sure what to change because it was already looking nice. So this is a very easy thing to do. Just see the color key match to it with one thing and make it beautiful. These two things will work in your favor always. Do what they want the image to look like, and add these all elements which will beautify your image, and you'll be very successful in convincing the client. Your approvals will go very quickly. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think is it Pujita is there? I cannot
Yes, I'm
see.
here.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Actually, I'm not, because there are so many people now. I'm not able to see you is there. Okay, this, you know what, Pujita? Let me start on this image. When you showed me this image, I was
So,
like, "What is there? I don't see anything." And then there is some things which are there, and that I was impressed about this image. And yeah, tell me.
sure.
And
Hello.
Yeah, Pujita.
Can you
Yeah, you
hear
can
me?
talk. Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you.
So I think this actually I liked the movie Soul uh, in particular, and
Mm-hmm.
I really like the lighting in this because if we go to look at many other Pixar movies or Disney movies, I think they didn't really play with dark skin as much as they did like in Soul. Like the main character was a dark
Yes.
skin
Yes.
character, so it's very easy to like the dark skin character to merge with the background. There are many times that it won't, or if you light it also, sometimes it looks like it's outstanding. It doesn't blend with the background. So I
Yeah.
think like Soul did a really good job with dark skin characters, and really this image actually spoke to me because Soul had two transitions. So first was the real world, and then it was more of fiction and more of passion world. So this image itself spoke about it because half of it is in the real world and half of it is in the mood lighting. So it's about that
Yes.
end wherein it was transitioning between his passion world where he completely blanked out as he played the piano and he was in his own world. So, and he forgot where actually he was playing. He was just with the music, you know, and it didn't really felt like a jump here. Like, since even there's two lighting, it doesn't look like a cut or a distraction to the eye. It's very pleasing because it really faded in and blended in very easily to the realistic world. So I think that was something that really spoke to me. And also, this doesn't have much of Z depth if we go to see, because it's just a plain back
Wall. Mhm. Yeah.
wall. So
Mhm.
it doesn't have a lot, but the lighting from the back end and from the spotlighting, it felt like it had a dimension, right? So
Yes.
we could yet see the 3D dimension of his face. We didn't lose it as completely flat. Uh, so I think this was really appealing to me, to the eye as well, because imagine having another third color light coming in when there's no light, like there was no blue or pink color light, any spotlight. So it was just his world light, and it was his mood feeling light. So uh, there's something that I really like, that you can reflect a mood or a feeling also through lighting. So
Yes,
I
yeah,
think
that
this,
I think
yeah.
that is kind of a very passionate explanation I'm hearing. It's really nice. Yeah, you go into depths of
Yeah,
the image itself. Like you are talking
right,
more about the storytelling element, and definitely we'll be like
right.
talking more and more on each and every image. And I think this is also where when it comes to storytelling, that is where you start becoming a better artist. Like I know, okay, one thing is that like composition, making it looking beautiful, everything. Okay, we are a good artist, but then as an lighting artist, if you can play with the emotion of the audience, it's something which we need to learn, and that is where I feel the lighting artists will go to the next level. Like use of color, use of contrast, and that the gradation and everything. When the story is being told, like at the same time while we are composing it, I think that is the next level. That is definitely next level. And the I'm also there are some of the things in this one is like the uh, human psychology, how human psychology works, and that's why like if we can learn about how we can trigger some emotions with the color and light, that is something which will be like, I think that is the something which I need to cover, even though I'm not expert of it, but then I think I should learn, and maybe like we can share this on terms of how human emotions can be emoted with different colors and light and shadow and all
Yeah,
those things. That study will be really amazing to do. And thank you so much.
yeah,
This is actually why I just like, no, even now you told me so many things. I feel like no, this is a really nice image. And but I liked about it, it's it gives you sense of no, he's isolated. Like, there is a big amount of negative space. The background is like no, a very big amount of so it helps in a character to be in a negative space. There are not much details we see here, and then he's isolated in the frame. So that is a kind of emotion that this framing has. Usually if you have someone who is into like no, is getting, so basically he's happy about this, but most of the time when no, someone is sad and he's getting more into like emotional and feels to be isolated from the world, that is something which they try to do it, but in a better way actually.
yeah,
So this framing helps that, and I think it's I could have like actually put some rim like this side, but then what is happening here is like it is not required actually. So
yeah,
you need to choose, whether you need to put or not. See, the separation is there, already
yes,
there here, and
okay,
this separation they have done with the this is more like a rim, but this is more like a kicker in this sense. Also, what you see here is the uh, if you put a color light on the skin which is brown from the front, it would have actually made it like off model. We call it as off model because off model is something which doesn't show the real color or the form of the character. or a prop or something like that. So that's why they used it in a very slight way on the edges. That is like a kicker they have used it. So it is a, see, sometimes what happens, you need to show blue light. If you put a blue light directly on the main, like the main area, it will look off model. It will not, it will look blue actually. It will not show that skin color. That's why they always use it as a kicker in the blue. You can still feel there's a blue light and still the skin is. And as you said about the dark skin, yes, it is very difficult to light dark skin. I have tried it, and it is a hell to light a dark skin. Yeah, Arjun wanted to say something.
No, I actually wanted to say that about the scene. It is, I personally have felt really hard to light a scene where there is not much elements, right? So, for example, in this, after your class, I've noticed like, a wall which is completely plain. They have
Yeah,
actually showed the gradients to like, that
yes,
violet color to orange color. So that
obviously.
is, so like, it is actually harder to light a scene where there is nothing, but still make it look really beautiful or like, balance it out.
Yeah, yeah,
When we
yeah. Then
have
see,
elements, we sort of can play around with it.
this is what, no, if you know, like, no, these are the elements what we can use. When your library is there, what you can do, and then you're given one shot. And then it is more like, no, you have like when you have a camera, and if you have 10 lenses, and if you have a different like, different lights, then you can do it. If you just given one camera, you cannot do a lot of things because you don't have those other things with you. So this is where the references, you should go and find references. Go and find references with the similar scenes. This is the scene. Okay, I will go and find lot of things, and then you will come to know, oh, this scene I can light this way, this is what it will emote. And I'm sure, like, even this artist has gone and seen a lot of references before even starting the lighting. That is where we miss out. Give a lot of time to the references, understand what you want to do, and and that references will help you a lot in, like, when lighting the scene. Apart from that, whatever knowledge you will get in terms of, like, different points, okay, as we were talking about the pool of lights, the gradation, the color, hue shift, whatever is happening. And even like there are less element, you can do a lot of things.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Nikhil wanted to say something. Nikhil, right? Yeah. uh, I'll just check it out. Okay, I think Nikhil cannot talk, or is it like, okay, he has a problem. So basically, then what Nikhil had to say, like, the DOPs also has been chosen for this carefully. Who has previously have experience in lighting dark skin? Okay, okay, I did not know about it. That's a nice insight. Can you tell me what is the name of the DOP on this movie actually? Nikhil. Okay, we'll wait for Nikhil to respond in the message. Okay, so yeah, I think I was talking about Sharon Khan, and she's been lighting most of the, like, no, she's been DOP on the most of the Pixar movies, including Onward. Last was the Onward what she worked on, and now she doesn't work anymore. But then I can say, like, Finding Nemo, Bugs Life, Toy Story, it's like first Toy Story, and uh, I think Monster Inc. Maybe not. I don't remember very well. But then these are most of the things what I'm also, like, kind of teaching you people is something which came from Sharon Khan's work actually, and she has done a lot of research into that, how cinematography can be used into actually the DOP itself. The word DOP itself in the animation industry has been introduced by her. So she was the first DOP on any animation movie, and that, I think, that came from Bugs Life. That she's been uh, understood as the first DOP in animation. Okay, any more images were there? Oh yeah, we have Sham is there. I don't think so. Sham is there. Okay, then we have PD. We have video here. Pranjal?
Hello.
Yeah, Pranjal.
Has
Yeah.
so main in this photo, I like the color theory. Nowadays, for which I do some research and
Okay,
study.
cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because in the whole movie, my main focus on the color tones.
Mm-hmm.
So in this part also, the 3 point lighting and the warm and cool colors. In these sections, my my main focus.
Mm-hmm.
There is some gradient also, the way from down down his neck points to
Yeah.
the to the sharper upper tones.
Yep.
So main was the in this photo, main is the color tones.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I'm also
yeah,
like observing this image now. Okay, because
yeah,
even I
yeah,
want to speak about this one. But I think anyone else can speak about this image instead of me now. What do you see here?
yeah. Anyone please?
Anyone, please?
Yeah, what I see is a great use of contrast using colors, the blue and the orange. I guess Disney uses it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I guess a lot of people are using these two colors specifically, a blue tone and the cool tone and a warm tone to create that visual contrast. To
Okay. Mm-hmm.
and the characters are being separated from the background very nicely using that blue light.
Yeah.
And what I see, I guess that this petal, which is, I guess, bright, the yellow one, I guess it's not even casting accurate shadows, but
Mm.
still it looks very much into the scene, and
Mm.
it's a point of interest in the scene, the composition wise where it is
Yes.
placed.
Yeah. Nice. Pujita, can you talk about this one?
No, I don't know if I'm wrong, but I feel that this scene is lit only by the one point of light, the source from that yellow. Yes, but you can see it overlapping on even on the faces, and also you
Mm.
can see the overlapping character. So Coco is acting as an overlapping character. Maybe I don't know if I'm right on this part, but I
No, no,
think
don't
it's
worry.
that.
See, you have to tell what you
Yeah,
feel. This is because you are a
yeah.
viewer,
So
right? You are a viewer, so you're like,
right, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Don't
So
think that no, what you're saying is wrong or because that is your point of view. Okay, so that is very important. That what you feel about certain things because everyone has a different eye. Everyone has their own
true.
experiences,
Yeah.
and that's why like no one is wrong. That is the thing. Everyone is right here. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, but I'm not sure about the technical part, so that's why I'm with you learning here. But
No, 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 no.
yeah,
It's like even I don't know so many things. So yeah, please do.
yeah. So I think Coco is acting as an overlapping character, and the focus point comes from that feather or the leaf that they give him as a blessing.
Yes.
Uh, so
Yeah,
I
there
think
is a
that's the main
defocus. There
source
is a
of
defocus.
point.
So what they have done
Yeah.
is like no these two characters and this is more in focus. Okay, there is something called
True.
about hard edges versus the soft edges. That is also a part we will learn in later. Like there are some hard edges. So why they did hard edges because their expression were important. That's why like
Important.
if you see here there is a soft edge here, there is a hard edge here which comes like because of defocusing, but then it's a part of when you do lighting you should understand which one to go keep hard edge and which one to go softer. That is part is you can see one lens flare, nice lens flare which is happening here.
Right.
And then the I like what I like about Pixar, they use props to convey story. See there is a heart here.
Right.
So that is like for the family bond which is here in this one. I think we have this image is really nice in terms of how the props are being arranged, and see this uh, guitar is shown in both the sides, like they could have not used it at all, but they used it because it's a part of storytelling. They wanted to show that no, we are there with you on this one. They actually wanted him to understand that what you are doing is right, and we are with you on this one. That's why that guitar is also there. A lot of things, like the object language is there. Do you anyone knows what is object language? What is object language? So basically we tell story with objects. If we put some objects in the scene, so that story can be told. So if you like closely observe so many things, so there are so many things which are there, which is meant for there for some reason to tell the story. I don't know, like there is some meters over here which is like no, that it has this and it is maybe, I don't know whether it is to something to do deal with what kind of meter is, I don't know, but then it suggests something, right? Some story about what is happening here. Maybe there is no light here. There is it that was they are all off, but then there is only light here. Maybe that is the reason why they used it. So these are different things which is maybe this is like a generator. I don't know what it is, and that's why they show that there is no current here. There is no electricity, and that's why this is given in more emphasis. It's like the when there is no light, this light will have more value in the scene, right? This is how it is. And there is a top light which is
Yeah,
coming, which is really interesting, which suggests is the environment light.
and also I think the source of light that is coming from that is kind of separating Coco from the background, so that rim
Yes.
also is
So
coming on
this,
his face. Is
yeah, definitely. So this is something which we use in the cinematography, is like using a brighter character on a darker background. This is what is happening here. And yeah, really nice image. I did like this image. Thank you for talking on this one. And Ankit, I think this is the last image we'll be talking about. One of my favorite images. I think that this is which I liked in this whole movie was this image actually. This is the set which has been lighted very amazingly. Yeah, Ankit, you can speak about this image.
Hello.
Yeah, very
Hi,
nice image.
Swapnil. First of
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
thank you so much for
Yeah, no,
giving
no
that.
worries.
that.
I think we have to stop saying all that because I think I'm also learning a lot of things from this. Like it's a process, it's a practice. When everyone is there,
Yeah.
it's a team effort which happens,
No,
and we
it's
learn
actually
together.
good for all of us. There is no reason we are as a senior lighting artist or junior lighting artist and a
No, no,
mid-level
no, no,
artist.
no. I think it's
Uh,
like just
because
forget about what
everybody
you
has
said.
some knowledge which they can
Definitely, I'm seeing
distribute.
that. I'm
Yeah.
seeing that. I'm so impressed about that. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm so happy that all of that guys like Pujita, Arjun, matlab, most of them are speaking and they're giving their suggestions and all. I
yeah, yeah.
really like that.
Definitely. Only
So
only
my
problem is
reason,
with Nikhil is mic is not working very well. I cannot. But when you wanted to talk about that,
but in
next time
next
maybe.
session maybe he will be like Arjun who will speak so many things and like that.
Yes, I do like when people contribute, and that is very important because see why what you're talking now, no, it's going to help you a lot when you go to an interview. No, this is
Yeah.
what we are going to talk about in the interview.
Yeah, actually,
So yeah,
we are just if I talking about me, I'm so hesitant to talk with the strangers or maybe in interview most of time.
yeah.
क्योंकि थोड़ा सा फील होता है कि यार ये मुझे नहीं आया तो ये मुझे नहीं पता है and all, ये सब चीजें
आई
होती है.
थिंक मुझे क्या लगता है पता है कि मेनली जो बात है कि जहाँ पे इंटरव्यू का बात हुआ कि हम लोगों ने इंटरव्यू तक पहुंचा ना वही बड़ी बात है उसके बाद जो हुआ भगवान भरोसे
तो
यू जस्ट टेल व्हाट इज ट्रूथ ओके जस्ट टेल ट्रूथ कि मेरे को ये आता है मुझे नहीं आता ये वाला Okay,
Okay.
be true to yourself first, and then you just tell, yeah, what I think is this. This is what, and put your views very strongly. It is required. Even that confidence of yours. And uh, I don't know. I'm not like telling like people doesn't know, like, but most of the interviews when you go now, if they have done more towards technical, that means that they just want you to be like no, feel that no, you are not that. You will be. They'll be asking so many technical questions, and there is no point into that. Some technical question I can understand, but then if you are a lighting artist, you are free to use any software. So like everyone will be interested in how you will light it, because software doesn't give output. Your knowledge
True.
will give you an output. So yeah, let's talk about the image
Yeah.
now.
So first of all, I love about that image the colors. They use so many colors, as we can see that
Yeah.
there are so many lights also, the candle lights, the TV lights, the rim. They are using so many lights, but फिर भी कुछ भी ज्यादा नहीं लग रहा है, एकदम
Hmm.
प्रॉपर लग रहा है एकदम सब कुछ. और जो अपना फोकस है, जैसे उसका लाइक दैट कैरेक्टर ही लव्स टू प्ले गिटार, तो गिटार भी फोकस में है. और उसके जो इमोशंस हैं, जो मेन चीज है, उसके जो इमोशंस है, उसके जो सामने एक वो स्टैचू पड़ा है जो उसके रिलेटिव का है, तो
Hmm.
जो वो उसमें देख रहा है और उसका जो एक इमोशन बाहर आ रहा है, मतलब बस गिटार प्ले करते हुए, तो वो एक अपीलिंग सा और बहुत अच्छा सा लग रहा है. और
Amazing.
प्लस
Yeah.
फ्रेमिंग फ्रेमिंग बहुत अच्छे से किया है इस शॉट को. सो आई लाइक दैट इमेज सो मच.
I wish I can light like this anytime. This is
या
this
मी
is
टू.
like an next level of lighting. Like
Actually, I have
even though it
tried
is
that
so
thing,
much crowded,
but
it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, no, no. I actually interpret because I also got excited with this image actually. So yeah,
No,
definitely
I
this
have.
is like so much crowded scene, but then you see how pleasing this image is. Like how
Yeah,
beautiful it is lit. Like, hats off to the lighter who has done it actually.
yeah, really. Because whenever we use that much of lights now, that candle lights, that TV light, that rim kicker and all, कुछ ना कुछ थोड़ा सा अनबैलेंस सा हो जाता है. मतलब आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट मी एक्चुअली. लेकिन उन्होंने इतना अच्छे से बैलेंस किया है दैट आई लव दैट इमेज.
Yes, yes, yes. I know. I have no words about this image. No, no. Definitely, he has used all the elements what we are talking about, and even like there'll be so many things which we don't know. Like that's why like this process of learning lighting is it will never stop. Like as you go forward, you will learn. Oh, आज ये था, कल मुझे किसी और ने कुछ और बताया. This is how you keep on learning more and more things. There are most of the visual depth cues here, we can see it, but then the control, the as a good lighting artist, that amount of control he has in each and everything, the color, defocus. I don't know what to say about this image. Yeah, yeah, Biswajit, tell me.
And actually, I added something like for the shot. Actually, in this lighter, like maintaining proper light follow up. Actually, each and one like
Yeah.
in lighting lights proper follow up की
Yeah,
मतलब कितने दूर तक उसकी लाइट की फॉलो अप जा सकती है
yeah,
and
like if
उसमें
you see
कितने
that
लाइट
guitar na,
का
that blue light, if you can see that, matlab,
So much gradation, right?
so, yeah, so much gradient is there.
The color play, yeah. Yes, I think
Yeah,
same.
superbly done.
Biswajit was saying same thing. Then no, it's just like in a very short distance, they have so much variation. If you see, like no, here there is one color, then it goes to bleed into blue, and then again then it becomes purple. Like it's a very short PG, but then depth, what you feel is so much in this. Definitely an amazing image, actually. Yeah, and also I think that is we should give a lot of credit to the look development which has been done on this one. The look development is amazing. Why it looks so realism
And the
is
placing of
realistic.
the objects are also so nicely, that flowers, that candles. I think, matlab,
Everything.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. They like no. Even if you think very like no very minutely, here see this crayons which has been like no scribbled onto them, but
yeah,
then the value of that is so much well balanced. Like nothing is
Hmm.
shouting, nothing is you can just like this is where like being a you need to train your eyes to understand the values and color differences and all. That will help you to and now I can tell you about see, there is no overexposure here. Can you see there is like just one place somewhere or something like that? And that's why it helps you if you overexpose certain part. This is a human vision tendency, I will tell you. When you put a very bright spot somewhere, our eye is sensitive. Okay, what it will do, it will try to close the pupil, like the pupil will close, it will become smaller. And it means that when you see something very very bright spot, you will miss all these fine details which is going on because your eye is closing now. So your image itself should not have very very high values. If you have very high values, that means your pupil will close, the viewers pupil will close, and you won't be able to see these details. See how much details in the shadows are there. You still see. It's only because the image itself is so well detailed. That is, I think this is the point where I think that VFX part doesn't come here. Because if it was VFX, it would have been more contrast. See, you can see some fill light here also. You know,
Hmm.
is this realistic? Yes, it is. Because we are seeing a human experience here. This is not photoreal. This is human experience. You cannot get something to be like this bright over here, and again the fill light to be this bright here, and still looking so realistic. So this image is not photoreal. This image is like a human experience. That is what I'm telling you. And yeah, Pujita, yeah, get us some passionate answer on this one. Yeah,
Actually, I really like this image, but yeah, can the line element work here? Like the eye contact also help here. Like
yeah,
he directly looks at that, so that's leading us to that main element also. So I think that also really works, and really love this image. And there's one more thing actually, something I want if we can cover, like. Think lighting in a white, you know, like white object becomes really like it burns out quite easily, right? Lights
yes.
a white shader. So if we can cover something on that, maybe just
Everything will be covered. Yeah, I understood what is the
yeah,
Even
concern.
in black
Actually,
also, sorry, I interrupted.
no
Even in
problem.
black also, when
no
we,
problem.
Yeah, yeah. Ankit, you were talking. Yeah,
yeah, like Pujita said, this is so nice, that white shader and all. But I'm adding that one more thing, that we can add in that black color also. Like we are doing some commercial thing ना, when black cars and all, so lights एकदम different हो जाता है. तो
mm,
अगर अपन cover कर मतलब in future whenever we are doing that, तो मतलब shaders के through कैसे कर सकते हैं वो भी best रहेगा.
yes. So you know what? If I give you this image, like the look developed textured image, like the set itself to you people, and if you put light, it will work similar way. Like it will work exactly what you want. The main problem is with the pipeline, what we always have, and the understanding of how the workflow we should set. That's the biggest part that Pixar does and many studios doesn't do. It's like they have this control over how they set up linear workflow onto their when they are doing texturing, shading, the choice of the values. So just to tell you, like when you are using a white color, what is white? You have to determine what is white. In the image, we don't have a like no. The value is one. The whitest white is one. In the real world, the whitest white is not one. It
Right.
is into like like the values are like in thousands. And like no, I think someone who is from the VFX will understand that when the HDRI is created, it has a higher values in the, like when there is a sun part, the light source, it will be like something like 12,000 or something like that. I'm not, I don't remember very well, but it is something like that. The dynamic range is there into that, and that's why that if you use that image to light a scene, then it will work like a light, proper light, and it will reflect everything, and it will give the field light effect, everything. So you don't have to. So when we are talking about an image, we should understand that only the whitest part, that is this candle, okay, that is only going to be one, value one. We cannot go beyond that because the image cannot support it. So it means that this one is like zero point 0.5 actually, but you don't have to do zero point 0.5. It is just that light how it will work. But then when you're doing a texture, then the value should not exceed more than 0.8 anytime. If you are exceeding white color 0.8, it means when you put light, it is going to blow up. So your texturing is very important here to get this white to look like white and not get overexposed. So when in the image, this is the brightest part. The rest everything comes after that. The value of that will be less than this one everywhere. And that is where you need to set up your pipeline in such a way that you're giving proper linear textures, know what values you're giving. Also, now the dark part, we were talking about dark part. So usually you should keep black to like zero point 0.2. That should be the value of your color in the texture. Then only it will receive light. If you don't keep it, it's not going to receive any light and it will become dark. Understand? Don't go above a 0.8, don't go below 0.2. Follow that and you will get this kind of result.
Is that clamp? Is that clamp thing, na?
It's not about clamp thing. It is about what texture values you choose while you paint it in the Photoshop or something like that. Even though uh, after you paint, you feel no, okay, something is going dark. You should open it in Photoshop, check the values, go and check the texture values, how much values it is going giving you, and then you have to lift it and make it like no. So your diffuse map itself should be like that. That when you put a light, it should work. Also, one more thing, when you're doing lighting, colors will matter. If you're doing a blue color, it means you cannot put pure blue. Never put pure blue. If you put pure blue and if it doesn't have red and green channel, as I told you, like minimum value should be 0.2. That means a blue color should have 0.2 red and 0.2 green in the texture. Same for the light. If you have a texture with this value and now you have a light and you want to put a red light on a green object. The light has like value of 1 as red, but then it doesn't have any value in the green and blue. The green object will be totally dark because it doesn't have that receiving capability. The light rays is only having red, but the object doesn't have that. Uh, the object does have, because we gave 0.2, 0.2. If we have missed on giving red to the texture, and even then, if you give don't give green and blue value in the light, it's not going to light it. So it will never receive the light. So you have to be very careful while putting color in the light. If you want to give red light, it means it will have 0.2 value of green, 0.2 value of blue, and same for the texture. That's how your light will work. Otherwise, this underexposure, overexposure, everything, it is not realistic. Make sense?
Yeah.
So did I answer your question, Pujita?
Yes. Thank you.
You have to try now. So you
Yeah.
have to try now to do that, and then it will be
Yes.
fixed. You
Yeah.
should understand that also, like when we say a white object, so white object is not white object actually. So you should understand that the white is only your light source. That is the only thing which is white. The rest everything should be darker than that. Yeah, I think that was like just amazing conversation. Sanjay Kumar, sorry, network error, got disconnected. Okay, anyways, so yeah, I think we actually did a session of 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I just hope like people have not slept in this session. Uh, I have actually recorded. Yeah. So can we have more? Yeah, Harsh. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, hi. So before we wrap up, I just